Welcome to Giant Cocktails, a podcast where two lifelong fans talk about the San Francisco Giants while drinking homemade cocktails. Now, here are your hosts, Ben and Matthew Henry.
Hello, and welcome to another thirst-quenching episode of Giant Cocktails Midweek Review. I'm your host, Matthew Home Run Henry, bringing you the freshest sips and swings in baseball. And with me, as always, is the man who needs no bullpen because he's always striking out the competition with style, Sir Benjamin, the Martini Mixer Henry, the Sultan of Swizzle Sticks, and the Grand Slam guru of garnishes. So grab your scorecards and your shakers, folks, because we're about to dive into this week's lineup of all-star cocktails and game-winning plays, hopefully. So, Ben, what concoction do you have for us today that pairs well with a doubleheader? All right, ChatGPT, that was nowhere what I asked you to do. But anyway, how you doing? Pick a title. I'm going to go with Grand Slam Guru of Garnishes.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I like the fact that I strike out a lot of people with style and that I don't need a bullpen. That's me. I have more strikeouts than Kerry Wood. That is me. If we're talking,
that is you.
If we're talking dating. And Matthew just pumped his fist. So, listeners, we're recording this as the third game in the series against the Dodgers is finishing out, and I am actually a few seconds behind Matthew on my feed, so I can see him reacting to the game before I know, and I know that I predict that Luis Matos hits a home run.
No, but he has a positive result. So
it's a single. It was an RBI single to center field.
Yes,
Still
accounts
good.
And whatever can't be disseminated. So I'm just going to give you the general. He had a good hit.
Right.
All right, we're way off base here. This is what happens when you get a couple of ADHD guys and
that's right.
You're trying to do two things at once.
That's right. That's right. That is exactly right. This is what happens. All right. Well, ask me about my cocktail.
Yeah, just what are you drinking, Ben?
Well, Matthew, thank you for asking. I did intend on making a Manhattan today because I had to make some stupid Negronis, and the lifespan of my vermouth is running out. And so I thought, use it or lose it. And quite frankly, if I lost it, I didn't really care, which is why what happened today happened. So I was going to make a Manhattan, but I went to pour in the vermouth, and instead I used my Apricot Liqueur by Jaffards with the name that I can't pronounce. So that means I have an unnamed cocktail, which I'm going to call a Rye Smile right now. And it has 2 ounces of overproof Rittenhouse rye, bottled in bond. It has 1 ounce of Jaffards Apricot Liqueur, and then it has 2 dashes of Angostura bitters. You put that into a mixing glass with ice. You stir until diluted to your preference. And I would a little over dilute on this one because that Rittenhouse, woof, very spicy. And then, strain that into a Nick Nora glass and serve it with 3 Luxardo cherries. And that is how you make a Rye Smile, which is a twist on the Manhattan. Hold the vermouth. And that's what I'm drinking today, Matthew. The Rye Smile.
I like how you're creating cocktails with the ADH brain. Just like, hey, I'm going to go with I have apricot liqueur. And then all of a sudden you're doing something totally different. That's so you.
That was literally what I was going to do. I was going to grab the bottle from the refrigerator because that's where you keep your vermouth, people, in the refrigerator. If you're not doing that, you're doing it wrong. If you don't believe me, stop listening to your grandpa and start listening to ChatGPT, okay? That belongs in the refrigerator. And I was sitting there, and the bottle was right on my bar, and I thought I could just grab that bottle of the apricot liqueur instead of going to the refrigerator for the vermouth. And so that's what I did.
You didn't want to do the vermouth anyway. So
no, I really didn't. I really didn't. I think I'm just going to throw it out. I'm just going to say, it spoiled.
All right. Well, so I'm drinking an original cocktail that I'm calling Tangerine Dream. And I was putting it together last night when the Giants were wearing their City Connects. And so I was like, I'm going to make an orange cocktail.
Yeah.
So what's in a Tangerine Dream? Well, it's got 2 ounces of Tequila Blanco, 1 ounce of, actually 3/4 ounces of Tangerine Juice, 3/4 ounces of lime juice, a 1/2 ounce of Creme de Cacao, and then 1 dash of chocolate bitters and 2 dashes of orange bitters. Put them all into a cocktail shaker with ice, shake for 10 to 12 seconds until it's well chilled, and double strain into a chilled coupe glass, and garnish with a tangerine wedge. And what you get is definitely tangerine with chocolate undertones drink, and it's very tasty. And so that's what I'm drinking today, Ben, the Tangerine Dream.
Thank you. That's a very nice cocktail. I would recommend that people not double sprain.
Yeah, don't double strain it.
Because
double strain it.
That's something that a San Francisco Giants outfielder would do.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
I've been watching them, including Luis Matos, almost injure himself tonight by slamming into a wall when he robbed a home run. I think, did he rob Teoscar? The man who can't decide what name he is? He's either Teodros or he's Oscar, but he doesn't know. Teoscar. I can make fun of him man's name if he's a Dodger.
All right. So, folks, you may wonder what we're talking about today. Well, we are going to talk about the injuries and what that means. Is the season over? And so we're going to mention that. And then we're going to talk about all the new players, because it dawned on us that there are 13 position players, and there are 7 of them on the current active roster did not start the season on the active roster. And so we thought maybe we'll play a little game, trivia game about all of our new players to get to know them a little bit better. And then, of course, we'll finish up with a lightning round. But before we do that, today is Wednesday, May 15th, as we record this podcast. We are playing the Dodgers right now. There's 1 out in the 9th as Doval is trying to salvage the win in a 3-game series, as we lost the first 2. Logan Webb was brilliant today after a rocky start. Right now, the Giants are 19-25. I'm not going to say anything else because I don't want to jinx it. They are X-2 against the Dodgers. But, Ben, the Giants are only 2 games out of a final wild card spot, despite being 19-25. So there is still hope.
That's right. I don't know what all this doom and gloom is about. Right? Oh, we don't have any outfielders left. We're competing with Japanese clubs for guys from the Mexico League. Whatever. It's not like our offense was doing anything good when we had all of our regular dudes.
Okay, well, you're just jumping right into the meat of the thing, because I was just going to ask you, is the season over?
Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
are we in rebuilding mode at this point?
Well, I do want to answer that question, but first I have to say the following.
Okay.
Camilo has closed the book on pages, and he has taken out the out man. Meaning there's 2 outs, and there's only 1 out to go.
Thank you. I'm so confused. All right. Well, I am watching the game where the Dodgers are down to their final strike. So we will see.
All right. Are we in rebuilding mode? Matthew,
yes.
We are on pause. Okay?
Okay.
It's like we're on hold. Kids, a lot of times when you need to do something with another organization that's older than you, they only have telephones. And when you call them on the telephone, instead of talking to a human or talking to a computer by pushing buttons on your phone, they put you on what is called hold. And then that means you're waiting for a human to come talk to you. But while they do that, they play music. And that's what we're doing right now. We are sitting here listening to the hold music, and we're trying to decide, is this good or is it bad? And that's where we are right now. Because I mean, and that's my thesis. Like, it feels really bad. Like, okay, first of all, don't get me wrong. Like, the Zheng Hu Li thing really bums me out. Like, it does not sound good when you're getting a second opinion from the doctor in LA. Right? So I'm really bummed about that. But as bad as it seems, as bad as everything seems, I still think this team has a chance to make the playoffs if they can just weather this storm. So I would say we're on hold. And that means we're in a temporary rebuilding phase. We get to see Matos and Ramos play for an extended period of time. And again, I will point out, both of them have driven in more people who aren't themselves than Jorge Soler has in the 118 or whatever at-bats that he had. Soler has 5 home runs and 8
RBI.
8
yes.
RBI.
Yeah.
Ramos, I don't know if the stats I was looking at were live, but when I looked at them, it said he had 0 home runs and 5 RBIs. So, it's not and I'm not saying that Jorge can't come back and make the team better. What I'm saying is that it's not like that what these young guys are doing was significantly worse than what the established guys were doing. And the cool thing is they're all 23, 24, and 25 years old.
Yeah, so at least they'll bring some energy, right?
Right.
A little bit of fun.
Well, and if they do well, we can be like, hey, that guy's going to be back next year and probably be better. Which is not a thing that we as Giants fans have been able to rely on the past few years. Anytime a guy comes back and he's better, it's kind of always a surprise. It's either a surprise that he came back or it's a surprise that he was better. And that's like the Farhan Zaidi Giants up until now. So to see Matos and Ramos, and also, to a lesser extent, Sable and Schmidt and out there. And I know that Luciano is in the dugout. I don't know that we've seen him on the field yet.
No,
but, to have these guys up at the major league level for a couple of weeks, doing at least just as well as the offense was doing when they weren't there, I think is a nice little preview of what we have or what we don't have. And so that's what I said. We're not rebuilding, Matthew. We're in hold mode. And that definitely could turn into rebuilding. But if it does turn into rebuilding, that means because the guys got healthy, but they weren't good enough to supplant Ramos or Matos or et al. And that's Latin, Matthew.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay. It means everybody else.
Different than et cetera.
Correct. Which means other things, other similar things. And didn't know you were going to get a Latin lesson today, did you?
No, but I'm always down for learning new things.
Right. So, are we in rebuilding mode? I don't know. I feel like it depends. And I feel like the way that you're pumping your fist implies that the Giants did what we needed and wanted them to do, which is take 1 out of 3. And boy,
Duvall didn't make it easy, but he did it. And Giants are now 20-25, 1-2 in their last 3 games.
You know what? Closing isn't about style.
No, it's not. He got the outs. I don't care.
That's right.
And we needed to because we can't score more than 4 runs.
That's right. But we scored 3 runs, and how many of them were driven in by Ramos and Matos?
Yeah. I don't know. We scored 4, actually.
Oh, we scored 4 runs? It feels like, oh my God. That's so greedy.
And so, that was so that which was about what we were scoring before all these injuries. So, the Giants, to your point, Ben, our offense, if you're on the optimistic side, like I tend to be, the offense could actually be better. It could be. We could have guys that, because the guys that were hurt certainly weren't lighting it up.
No, they weren't.
So,
and they weren't getting it done when it mattered. Matos and Ramos, by the way, in Game 3 against the Dodgers, the game that just ended, each had an RBI. Yaz hit the 2-run homer. So, there's 2 guys who weren't on the team. And can we say that the 2 guys that they replaced would have driven in those runs? No, and I think we could confidently say they probably wouldn't have based on the evidence up to this point. So you're absolutely right, Matthew. In a weird way, the offense could be better. Because my goodness, how could it be worse?
The Jorge Soler stat of he's come to bat with close to 100 runners on base, and he's only driven in
3 of them.
3 of those. 3. And then you got guys like Matos and Ramos who are coming up doing it right. I feel like, wow, this is such an improvement. So I'm sure that, well, I am not sure, but I would like to think that Jorge Soler won't stay that bad all year long. But the fact remains, we're a quarter of the way through the season and he was sucking. And now you got guys that are coming in that are actually driving in runs. So I'm gonna look at this as a positive, that the Giants, maybe we're gonna find some guy, or the guys that we've been counting on and talking about for the last 2-3 years are finally able to contribute at the major league level and make a difference in the major league team. So I say the offense is going to get better, Ben.
Okay. Well, you heard it here first, folks. Matthew has declared that all of these injuries to the San Francisco outfield and position players is going to make the San Francisco Giants better. What we needed was a little Kurt Casale, a little Blake Sable, and a lot of Matos and Ramos.
Okay, you know where they're not making it better. You know where they're not making it better though is center field. And Matos today had a great catch. He robbed a home run, but the previous 2 games he had some very dubious plays that may possibly led to runs. And so
Matthew, I don't know. You probably think it's rare that the ball hits you when you're waiting for your left fielder to catch the ball. I bet that happens all the time.
In Little League.
That wasn't great. Yeah, I agree that the center field is a question mark. I think Jung-Hoo, one of the question marks was, will he be as good defensively as people say he is? And I think that was the one thing that emphatically, yes, he was very, very good. Of course, part of what made him good is probably part of what got him hurt.
Yeah. But I think that's what makes a good player, right? It was very evident, from the very beginning of the year that he played a center field that was different than what we were used to seeing.
Honestly, that's the part I'm most concerned about with all these new guys, right? Is the defense going to get worse? Because let's face it, you're right. The offense really couldn't get much worse. And so it's really a question, is the defense going to get worse? I think that Ramos is an upgrade to Conforto and to Yaz. Well, I don't know that he's an upgrade to Yaz and Slater, but he's definitely an upgrade to Conforto. And I think Matos would be an upgrade in left field or right field as well, or at least as good as. Although Yaz is really good in right field.
Ramos has played some good outfield so far, though, especially with throwing out runners. So I'm not really worried about that. But you start putting players in a lot of different positions because you need them to, especially young players, and you're probably going to see a downgrade.
I do worry about that, and I think center field is clearly going to be a downgrade. I think it looks like their best bet would be Slater and Yastrzemski in center, but that's just not as good as Jung-Hoo. And then you don't have Yastrzemski, especially in right field, on those days when you're facing a right-hander. And so that's a downgrade as well. So yeah, I do worry about the defense. But I think we look at the silver lining and we say, you know what, this may not be as bad as it feels.
Totally. And again, we're only 2 games out of a wild card spot. We still have, whenever you got like Webb and Hicks and even Harrison pitching for you, you've got a chance to win no matter what.
Right.
So, it could be worse, Ben. If things started, if Logan Webb or Jordan Hicks gets hurt, then we might.
Or what about Keaton Wynn?
Right. Well, Keaton Wynn too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, he did get hurt. He came out of yesterday's game but
have we heard anything about that?
No, we haven't. And so I think they'll probably wait until his spot in the rotation. But the good news is that, Snell is going to come back soon, and Snell was supposed to, take the 5th spot. And then Mason Black was already sent down because they don't need him for that spot in the rotation because they have an off day. But one nice thing is that, okay, well, at least now you have Mason Black who could fill in for Wynn if Wynn ends up missing a start or 2, which seems likely, quite honestly. And so at least you have that option there. And so I still feel pretty confident in the starting rotation depth, especially now that you're getting Snell back and losing Wynn. I think on paper that's an upgrade. And,
totally. And having Mason Black now on the 40-man kind of, I think, offers a little bit of stability and at least knowing what could be. So yeah, I think that's a great one. All right. So Ben, we need to move on.
Yes.
So there are 7 new position players on the roster that weren't there when we opened up the season. They are Elliot Ramos, Casey Schmidt, Blake Sable, Brett Wisely, Luis Matos, Marco Luciano, and Kurt Casale. Okay, so there are 7 players. I have a little trivia questions for that, and I'm going to throw them at you, and I want you to tell me who it is.
I'm feeling good. Yeah, I got this.
All right. Starting off with an easy one.
All right.
Which player has a middle name of Lemuel?
Lemuel. Kurt Lemuel Casale? Blake Lemuel Sable? Brett Lemuel Wisely? I'm going with Kurt Lemuel Casale.
I love it. Actually, it is Elliot Lemuel Ramos.
Oh, man. That makes perfect sense. Helliott's middle name would be Lemuel.
It would be.
Lemuel.
All right, next question.
Yeah, all right,
Which player has their college season school record of ERA with a 0.28 ERA?
Matthew, none of these guys are pitchers.
That's why this is an interesting question.
Oh, okay. Okay, gonna go with a guy who probably okay. Casey Schmidt.
You are right. Casey Schmidt was a reliever for San Diego State University, and in one of his years had a 0.28 ERA, and was their closer. So
yeah, I did. I used process of elimination to solve that problem.
That's good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next question. Mm-hmm. Which player represented the United States on the under-15 U.S. national baseball team?
Well, it wasn't Matos, Luciano, or Ramos.
Yeah, it does eliminate some players for sure.
Casale's clearly Italian. Although I don't know, with a middle name like Lemuel. I'm going to go with Casey Schmidt again.
Okay, well, that's a good guess, but it was actually Blake Sable.
Boo. Boo.
So Blake Sable represented the United States on the under-15 national team.
All right. Mm-hmm.
All right, next one. Which player has a brother that was drafted in the same amateur draft in which they were drafted in?
Okay. Again, process of elimination, and I feel like this is dumb, but I'm going to go Casey Schmidt again.
Okay, that is dumb. It is Brett Wisely, your favorite player.
Oh, right.
His brother Eric was drafted in the 34th round by the then Indians, but Guardians.
Can we trade him for Eric? Can we trade Brett for Eric?
We might be able to.
Is it possible? I feel like I'd like to do that.
So that's kind of cool. That was a good day for the Wisely family.
That was, yeah.
It was probably over a couple of days now that I think about it.
Yeah, because 34 rounds. It takes a while. It takes a while.
Brett was drafted earlier. But anyway, okay, next question. Which player made his major league debut in the same season as his cousin?
Ramos.
Luis Matos, whose cousin is Oslavius Basabe.
Oslavius Basabe.
Oslavius Basabe from Tampa Bay. And they both made their major league debut. I guess it was it last year or 2 years ago? I can't remember.
Oslavius.
All right, next question. Which player has a brother that is the all-time leader in goals scored for their national soccer team?
Okay, so this is not an American.
Correct.
And I'm guessing also not an Italian, so I can eliminate Kurt Casale and Luciano, both Italian men. So that leaves it down to Matos or Ramos. And I just answered a question where Matos was the answer, so I'm going to go with Ramos.
That is correct, sir.
Nice.
Elliot Ramos' brother, Hector, is the all-time leading goal scorer for Puerto Rico.
I knew it. Hector.
Which I thought was fascinating. All right, next question. Which player signed as an international free agent for $2.6 million at age 16?
Marco Luciano, I know that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of money for a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
I was getting paid $5.25 for under the table by the yogurt shop.
I heard he made major money on the meme stonks. He was big on GameStop. Yeah.
Good. I hope he did.
He was long on GameStop.
I hope he invested it well.
Yeah.
All right, next one. What language other than English is Casey Schmidt fluent in?
He's fluent in bullshit.
I will take that as an answer.
All
yes.
right. Yeah. Sweet. Yeah. All right.
The other answer though would have been Spanish.
Oh, okay.
He grew up on the border of. He grew up in Chula Vista, California, and he had a good friend that was also fluent in Spanish who actually passed away, and so he learned Spanish so he could better communicate with his teammates.
I didn't come here for sad stories. Wow.
I know. But in case you meant, good boy. All right. Which player has a second cousin that is in the NFL Hall of Fame?
What? Oh. You
remember now, huh? Yeah.
It's Blake Sable.
That's right, because he's part Samoan?
Yeah.
Right? And so his second cousin is Troy Polamalu, who is the Hall of Fame safety for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Never heard of him.
Definitely great hair.
Definitely never saw his hair streaming out the back of his helmet.
Yeah, so much good hair that he had like shampoo commercials.
That's right.
So
That's right. He did.
All right, final question, Ben. Final question. Which player led their high school football team to a state championship as a quarterback?
Logan Webb. Oh,
possibly.
No,
but
that's
he's
wrong.
not a
Yeah, he was a QB. He's not the newcomer. Well, it's not Ramos, it's not Montas, it's not Luisiano. Brett Wisely. Maybe he was the quarterback and his brother was the wide receiver. Is Schmitty's name? You know what? It hasn't been the name of it. Kurt Casale.
That's right. Process of elimination. We haven't done a Kurt Casale. Yes, it was Kurt Casale. I threw him at the end there because I'd already done all these questions and then Kurt got signed.
And then you just realized that he was on the roster and he was starting tonight. Yeah,
exactly. I was like, oh gosh, we got to have a Kurt Casale question. So Kurt Casale led his high school team.
Right. Yeah.
Although he was born in Walnut Creek, California, but grew up in Connecticut.
The Creek of Walnuts.
That's right.
Matthew, it's really hard to make a creek out of walnuts. Usually,
you and I have lived along the Creek of Walnuts.
That's true. We have, and I've seen the wall. It's actually the walnut acorns. It's not the trees that it's but it's like just the acorns. They make this like creek like the effect. It's amazing.
All right.
It's time for a lightning round.
So Ben. Who is your favorite new player?
Who is my favorite new player? My favorite new player is Luis Matos.
All right, that's a good answer. I'm still going with Rule 5 draftee Blake Sable. Got to stay loyal, man. Got to stay loyal.
Got to stay loyal. I get it. I hear you. Yeah.
All right, next question. Would you drink 100 Negronis to stop the Dodgers from winning the World Series?
I'd drink 1,000 Negronis. Okay, wait, hang on a second. Let me consult with my liver for a moment. How many is 1,000? That's 3 like a day. Okay, I would drink 150 Negronis, Matthew. I would drink 150 Negronis between now and game whatever it is of the World Series that I need to. Yeah. Okay. In theory, I would drink 1,000, but I realized that was probably not a good idea. Because I don't want to die. Like, if you told me, Ben, would you die to stop the Dodgers from winning the World Series? I would say no.
No.
But
all right.
Yeah.
All right. Final lightning round question. Because of all this movement up to the major leagues from Sacramento, they had to bring some people into Sacramento.
Yeah.
A couple players were Hunter Bishop.
Wow.
And Reggie Crawford. I know the Hunter Bishop name finally comes upon us. Will we see either of these guys in the majors this year?
I think we have a good chance to see Hunter Bishop in the majors this year.
Absolutely, right?
I think he's like a heartbeat away.
Luis Matos was limping after stealing a home run today, right? What's that phrase with the vice president? They're like a bullet away from the president's heartbeat away.
Yeah.
That's right. From the So these guys are a ligament away.
That's right. They're a ligament away,
right?
And you know what? Matos was rubbing his ligament after he ran into the wall. And so I think it seems like a highly good chance that we could see Hunter Bishop. I mean, I think it seems pretty ridiculous, but you know what? Also, the guy's, he's had a long road and, he's getting a little long in the tooth now. I think he's 25 years old.
At least.
And if not older. And so, if he's going to get a shot, why not this year? So I think Hunter Bishop seems almost likely that we will see him in the majors this year. Reggie Crawford, I mean, being in AAA means you're You're nearly there.
You're a ligament away.
You're a ligament away. I don't. Yeah.
Or you're a call up away, right? There's 2 extra spots in September.
There are.
You know?
I think if they are, you know what? I think if he's performing really well and he's going to be in the bullpen because that's where they've had him, I think there's a good chance that we could see him at the end of the season if he's performing well and the Giants are competing for a playoff spot, because having another electric arm in your bullpen would be huge in a playoff run. So I think it's possible. I don't know that I would say it's likely, but I feel like Bishop is likely.
Okay. I'm reversing that. I think Crawford, we will definitely see him in the majors this year because of that electric arm. I think it's inevitable. All right, folks. So we're wrapping this up. Upcoming opponent, the Chicago Cubs, who are actually doing pretty well. They're 24-19 entering today. Second in the NL Central. They're second wild card team in the National League right now. As notable players who have played, 279 players have played for both franchises. Notable players to play for both the Giants and the Cubs. Recent ones, Jorge Soler, Jock Peterson, and of course, Chris Bryant. During the championship era, we had Angel Pagan and Matt Duffy, have both been former Cubs. And then what I'm referring to as the old guys era, we had guys like Julian Tavares, Bill Miller, and Sean Estes, all played for both the Giants and the Cubs.
Is that they're old guys because they're like roughly the same age as you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, because I was thinking old players might be the guys that, you know, the guys.
There's the older one. We can go way back, but
Steamboat Jackson, and
exactly.
Yes. Yeah, Tungsten Arm Magoo. Yeah, those guys.
That's right.
Yeah.
Those guys.
Okay.
But nobody remembers them. So
all right.
Anyway.
Well, Bill Miller is one of my favorites, but we already talked about him with the Red Sox. So Glenn Allen Hill.
That's a classic. Santa Cruz High grad.
That's right.
Gotta go.
That's
Santa
right.
Cruz High guys.
He played for a lot of teams, though, I'm pretty sure.
He did. Well, my quick Glenn Allen stat, my favorite injury of all time was that he had to go on the IL after crashing through a glass coffee table after dreaming about spiders.
That's right. He
had a nightmare about spiders.
Sleep table dove. And then because of
sleep ran, I guess.
Yeah,
and
because of
ran
spiders. Well, you know, that would probably make me run too. And that's a wrap on the midweek review, folks. Thank you for joining us. We will be back on Monday with the big show where the cocktails will be stronger and the rants will be longer. If you can't wait that long to get your fix, feel free to reach out to us on the social medias. You can find us in Zuckland, aka Instagram, and Threads, where we go by the username Giant Cocktails. You can also find us on the Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, and Mastodon at the same username. And don't forget, you can also listen to us on YouTube, but you can't see us. It's just our voices. But anyway,
it's for your own good, folks. Your own good.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. It's you would turn to stone. So run over there to like, subscribe, and comment. But most importantly, be sure to leave us a positive review, like 5-star positive. If it's not 5 stars, it's not positive. At your podcasting platform of choice, aka Apple Podcasts, or as I like to call it, Spotify. Matthew, you were inebriated today. Keep up the good work. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers, Ben. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
I'm trying my best drunk voice. Yeah.
That's your drunk voice? Wow. Okay. Yeah. Anyway. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the Giant Cocktails Podcast. Until next time, bottoms up.
Keaton Wynn, right forearm tightness.
Right forearm tightness. It's because he was gripping that baseball so hard.
That's it. Yeah, just relax it a little bit. Treat it like an egg, man. Like an egg.
I mean, do what you got to do to throw the ball super hard and stuff.
Yeah, what do I know? Don't take advice from me.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Keaton Wynn, I bet if you didn't play professional baseball, your arm wouldn't hurt so much.
Exactly. Oh, we did make fun of David BR. Just like the real Giants, we forgot about David BR.
Oh man, he's like Daryl Strawberry from the old Simpsons episode. He's the only guy left in the game, tear running down his eye.
Okay, let's pull us back to the whole podcast thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are we talking about the San Francisco Giants too much on the San Francisco Giants podcast?